In this video, I'm going to show you how you can leverage on tools to obtain valuable data and save time to level up your investing journey. Hi there, my name is John, and today I'm going to show you 5+1 bonus tool that I personally use to level up my investing skills and to save me precious time, because we all know that time is a finite resource that we can't claw back, but money is an infinite resource that sometimes if you pay, you actually get more value to it. Before we get into the topic at hand, as a disclaimer, this video is for educational purposes only and should not be construed as a buy or sell recommendation. Please do seek out a licensed person if you do need license advice. So tool number 1, reliable news portal. The keyword is reliable. So in Malaysia, my default would be the Edge Markets. They do have a very good editorial piece every week. And yeah, kudos to them, quality journalism. If you haven't read the penny stock scandal article, I highly recommend you to read it. Very well researched, and it does point out a lot of fallacies, a lot of flaws in our Malaysian markets. For US-based companies or US-based economic data, I usually go to the Wall Street Journal. It's paid, by the way, Barron's. And I have been a subscriber of Fortune magazine ever since 2012. Diligent subscriber. I really like the conciseness of the articles. It's not a one-stop shop for everything, but it is a good place to start to know what are the trends in probably the VC market, the US market, consumer behavior, and also up-and-coming companies. So there you go, tip number 1 or tool number 1. Tool number 2, statistical websites. Now, our Department of Statistics Malaysia has wonderfully opened up a lot of data points. And if you're a programmer, especially a Python user, or you know how to use Power BI, yeah, you can even write APIs right now or application programming interfaces to actually scrape this data off the DSM website, and you can actually get a lot of this data populated into your spreadsheets. The other website that I used to subscribe to is Statista, but they got ridiculously expensive. So there's a balance in between what I think you should pay for, especially if you're like running a fund or you manage other people's money and you get paid for it. I think these are indispensable tools that you use. A lot of fund managers actually use Bloomberg, and Bloomberg does give a lot of statistical data. Therefore, that's why they don't need to go for these other non-aggregated data sites like Statista. CEIC is another one. I didn't put in the graphics here, but it's something that you should check out as well. There you go, tool number 2. Tool number 3, and most people actually miss this. So if a company you're researching on is affiliated to an industry association, a lot of the industry value chain and statistical data are actually gathered by what we call the industry associations. So like for the rubber glove manufacturer, there's MARCMA, and for the oil palm industry, there's actually MPOB. As some of you know who have watched my previous videos before, I was an oil and gas executive for 10 years, and I rely heavily on the EIA website. Tons of data. They've, I think, spent probably multi-millions to gather the data set, present the UI, and I think as an investor, if you really want to go deep in understanding companies and the industry value chain, these are indispensable data sets or sources that you should rely on. Tool number 3. Tool number 4, my personal favorite. Now, if you are a bottoms-up investor like me, or even you are a chartist, a technical analyst, you cannot run away from obtaining aggregated data. For a chartist, you would want price data, historical price data. For fundamental analysts or bottoms-up analysts like us, we actually require a lot of financial data. Obviously, the best place to get raw and audited data is the exchange of the country itself. So like, for example, Malaysian listed companies, Bursa Malaysia's company announcement repository, that is the raw source of data. However, what you want is also a tool to give you what we call aggregated financial historical data. So if you want to get 10-year history, 15-year history, 20-year history, you can't run away from some of these big data providers around the world like Morningstar, Yahoo Finance, Guru Focus. And my personal favorite is Ticker. If you've been following my videos, I use ticker very, very heavily to the point I log in at least 10 to 20 times a day. I used to use Share Investor. However, Share Investor is limited to about 5 or 6 exchanges around the world. Ticker has 140,000 listed company financial data around the world. So I think it's so far the most comprehensive and most reasonably priced, I would say. I'm also a subscriber of Morningstar and also Guru Focus. And the reason why I still do subscribe to this, even though I already have Ticker, is that there are certain way the data is presented that I can't find that is available in Ticker, and that's why I have a few. So there you go, tool number 4, and I think it's a very, very important tool, financial data providers. Tool number 5, and it is an important part wherever you invest. It's the investing communities. What do I mean by investing communities? So this is a place where a lot of like-minded individuals, whether you're a chartist, whether you're a fundamental investor, they gather, they write to share their thoughts. There's actually a discussion forum or blog. And I should actually include WhatsApp chats here, but WhatsApp chats are so decentralized and so anonymous that a lot of these you get invited only through word of mouth or friends of friends. But for investing communities like StockBit, where a good friend of mine, Rondi, and his team, Sachi, Terrence, they all gather there and try to provide somewhat of a moderated, content curated forum. Their aim is a more moderated forum as compared to i3. Now, I'm not saying i3 is not moderated. It's just that there's a lot of chatter on i3, and sometimes for the novice investor, they may get confused, curious, or even more frustrated because they're not getting clear answers or factual-based answers. And there's a lot of, how would I say, stories that you do need certain skills to weed through and to know whether they're hype or they're actually factually based. I've just discovered power of Reddit probably about 1-2 years ago. I've not really gone deep into it, but I've noticed some threads, especially in the US, that provide very good factually research. Comparatively, there are other blog sites like Seeking Alpha or Motley Fool and all that. And Reddit is something new, but I find it's very raw because there's a lot of anonymity. So because it's raw, it's a double-edged sword. Sometimes you don't know, because you don't know the identity of the person writing it, you may not know if there's a hidden agenda to that piece that is being written. I didn't want to really include this, but I thought that we shouldn't miss it as well. It's actually Facebook and groups within Facebook. Some of them discuss personal finance, some of them discuss stocks. I've not seen very active ones. There's a group called a Value Investing Group or something. It's a global group, 40,000 users, but I don't really see quality posts there. I don't see very well-researched articles there as well. So, take it with a pinch of salt. I think to each his own. Once you find, join this, most of them are free. Then you find a niche where, it suits you, suits your understanding. And when you level up, then you start looking at more serious material like analyst reports. And that's where, people like StockBit is doing a great job aggregating some of these reports. i3 also does a great job in curating and categorizing these reports. So don't believe everything you read on these forums. These are source of ideas, but please make your own research, do your own due diligence, and make a judgment call. So, tool number 5. So for those of you who stayed till the end, this is bonus tool number 6, which is Excel and Google Sheets. The last yellow icon is actually Power BI. Now, why is this I consider an indispensable tool? The problem is a lot of the data that you collect from the other tools that I've mentioned, whether it's a financial data aggregator or even price chart, you do need to plot some of this data out to manipulate it, either do a calculation, do a trend analysis. And for you to be a better investor, it is indispensable, I repeat, indispensable that you get good at using financial spreadsheets, numerical spreadsheets, because that's where you can see patterns in financial data that you want to analyze. And I think that, I've not seen one fundamental data or fundamental investor that's actually not good at Excel. I've not seen one. I mean, kindly point out one that is, if you met one and he doesn't know how to use Excel, kindly point one. Maybe those guys would do calculations on, on a napkin or a paper, but there is some sort of a calculation tool behind it. So there you go, bonus tip or bonus tool number 6. Here you go, my 5+1 bonus tool that I use personally to help me save precious research and gathering of information time, so I can actually analyze and come out with insights on the stocks that I research. Some of them are free, most of them are paid, but here's the question for you. Which do you prize more? Your time, which is finite, or parting with a little bit of money to help you save time? I know some analysts that actually don't even have time to crunch their own numbers, and they have to use some data aggregator sites like this as well. More importantly, let me know if there's any tool that I missed out in this video that you use personally and find it very helpful. Leave those tools in the comment section below. And if you want to see how I apply some of these tools, check out my video on MFCB on the right, where I use Ticker very, very heavily to analyze this company. See you guys in the next video. Ciao.